supporters, sympathizers, and followers of the National Democratic Congress, the good people of Ghana watching and listening from across the country and the world, and those who have joined us here in Winnipeg, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, my running mate for the 2024 election, the Right Honorable Speaker, Alban Bagbin, a bona fide member of our party, my beloved wife, Lodina, my dear children who are here with me, Sharaf, Shahid, Farida, thank you, I acknowledge you. Our National Chairman, Johnson Asiedu Ketia, our General Secretary, P.C. Tiavikwete, our traditional rulers who have been so kind to join us here today, our members of the Council of Elders who, despite age, have managed with their walking sticks to join us this morning, party supporters, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gather with hope as one people, united in victory, and as one nation, Ghana, with a common interwoven invisible destiny. Today we also gather to reignite and reaffirm the dreams of our forebears, led by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of our great nation, a nation with one destiny, a destiny that cannot afford to endure one additional day beyond January 7, 2025 of the maladministration, the mismanagement and state capture this nation has been subjected to over the last almost 8 years. For the sake of God's children and in the name of God, the people of Ghana will wake up from this nightmare and envision a bright new dawn of opportunities for all its people and not just a few. My brothers and sisters, our dear nation Ghana is bleeding. Ghana's soul is calling for change. Mother Ghana is crying for its true and genuine patriotic citizens to rise up to reset our beloved nation. Ghanaians can take no more of the hardship, the impunity, the state capture, the hypocrisy, the lies and bad governance that has been inflicted on them over the 2 terms of this outgoing administration. We cannot fail Mother Ghana, and therefore I urge you all to vote for change on December 7th, 2024. We, the members of the National Democratic Congress, have gathered here to express our utmost belief in democratic governance and to proclaim right here in Winnipeg, also called SIMPA, that the time is up for this administration. The time is up for them to go. They have decimated our democracy beyond recognition. They've destroyed livelihoods and families and pushed millions of our people below the poverty line. Your vote on December 7th will end the tyranny. It will end the cronyism. It will end the corruption. It will end the hardship. It will also pave the way for the vision, experience, and trustworthiness. And I, Dramani Mahama, is going to restore that to the Flagstaff House. As I've said before, this government must begin writing their handing over notes if they have not started doing so already. This MPP administration has been the biggest political scam that has been pulled on Ghanaians since our independence in 1957. And I'll explain why. They were repackaged with ribbons and sweetly scented with enticing promises. Most Ghanaians will agree that Nana Akufo-Addo is indeed the president Ghana never got. And indeed, I dare say, his much touted economic whiz kid Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is also the economic messiah Ghana never got. The NPP government took over from our administration on 7th January 2017. They inherited an energy sector we had stabilized with the fastest mobilization of emergency power of almost 800 megawatts in the history of Ghana. Along with this, which we call ESLA, with potential revenues of 3 billion Ghana cedis every year to pay off legacy energy sector debts. They inherited an ongoing Millennium Challenge Compact of $547 million aimed at making Ghana's energy sector the most efficient in Africa. This ruling family, quarreled over the shares in the PDS company and led to the US pulling back $190 million, which was meant for the most critical component of the compact, and that is private sector participation and improvement in collections at the distribution end of the electricity value chain. They inherited more than $450 million of the IMF extended credit facility initiated by my administration. Most of our state-owned enterprises were breaking even or making a profit. We handed that to them. They inherited a cocoa production of more than 960,000 metric tons of cocoa, with a cocoa board that was making profit and owed only 1.5 billion cedis to the central bank in cocoa bills. We handed over to them 2 new oil-producing wells, the 10 Field and the ENI Sankofa, which increased Ghana's oil production by more than 100,000 barrels per day, with additional gas of more than 200 million standard cubic feet per day. And this increased Ghana's oil revenues from petroleum by more than $500 million every year. They took over from our administration a stabilization fund in which we had accrued $277 million. A Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund with seed money of $270 million. A sinking fund account at the Bank of Ghana with a balance of over $200 million. They inherited a budget that ran a deficit of 6.1% with zero borrowing from the central bank, the Bank of Ghana, zero borrowing. They inherited a stable currency that tracked the administration of this country to the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government. Ghana's debt as a percentage of our GDP was 56%. As a result of fiscal consolidation, we handed over an economy that was set to grow above 8%, as predicted by the World Bank and IMF and all the credit rating agencies. Private businesses enjoyed an enabling environment to thrive, and foreign investors were queuing to make investments in our economy. The NPP government also took off with a stabilized economy and significant buffers with enormous domestic and internal goodwill. Indeed, this has been the most favored government in our history. But alas, the Ghanaians' people's favor, their goodwill, has been repaid with only pain and anguish. This government has received more revenue than all governments combined in the history of Ghana. And as the saying goes, to whom much is given, much is expected. Unfortunately, the people of Ghana have been severely shortchanged by this administration. The scorecard of this administration has been abysmal. An inflation rate that went as high as 54% and is currently still hovering above 20%. Ghana today has one of the highest food inflation rates. We have a currency has depreciated to almost 60.
Now, so what I want to just close today to say is that our manifesto that we are presenting to you today, just as we have done in the past, is a manifesto that will be delivering to you promises and policies that we know achievable. The things that we cannot do, we will not talk about. But what it is that we can do, we will elaborate today in order for the country to know the clear difference between the NDC and the NPP. The final thing I will say before I sit down is that no government is perfect, so we accept that mistakes can be made. But what you do when you are in government is to show the humility, which humility means that when you are charting a path and there is a problem, you should have the capacity to acknowledge it and be able to receive the feedback so that corrections can be made. The manifesto we are presenting today is by no means going to be a perfect manifesto, but is the humility of the leadership, the humility of John Mahama, the humility of the people who are going to work with him to be able to say if there is a problem, we will be able to receive the necessary feedback and do the corrections in order to be able to deliver for the future. Unfortunately, we deal with people who, even when it is blatantly wrong, even when the vehicle is driving in the wrong direction, they are too proud, they are not humble enough, they are too arrogant to acknowledge it, and they continue driving in that same direction, refusing any feedback, refusing any constructive criticism. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to say more than this, but to simply establish to you that we are a party that makes every effort to establish every policy and every promise we make on sound principles, the principles of truth, the principles that our national anthem teaches us, that we need to cherish fearless honesty in all we do. It is only on the back of that honesty that we can truly have a nation that is truly great and strong. Thank you very much.
Knowledge. We have here the paramount chief for Gumua Ejumako, Obrempon Nyamfo Krampa. A round of applause for him. We also have here the chief of Efitu Esfiap Ebusia Penyi Nenyi Akon. A round of applause for him. We have here Nana Nekte. A round of applause for him as well. Then we have the Moses chief for the Greater Accra region, Naba Kauda. A round of applause for him. Then we have Dr. Chief Ishaku Tutumaba, the Borisa number 2, Gonja chief for Ejumako traditional area. A round of applause for him. We also have here our hard-working parliamentary candidates. A round of applause for our PCs. But let me especially acknowledge one of our pieces. He is the reason why every part of Winneba is painted with NDC colors. He is our PC for this constituency, and inshallah the incoming member of parliament for Winneba, Dr. James Kofi Annan, is here. A round of applause for him. Thank you for your good work. Ladies and gentlemen, turn to your neighbor and ask him or her whether he has a number. Do you have a number? Do you have a number? The man I'm about to introduce has a number. He is a number 3 in Ghana, a seasoned politician who has served this nation dutifully in many roles. He is a vanguard of our democracy and the public interest. But for him, I'm not sure that what we even have left as Ghana would have been in place. Ladies and gentlemen, a rousing round of applause for the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Aban Sumana Bagbe. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have here, even though I'll be introducing her later when she's about to speak, but it is important that I do so now before the main introduction. Ezu, our mother is in the house, the vice presidential candidate of the NDC and the incoming first female vice president of Ghana is here, Professor Nana Jane Obokwa Dramani is in the house. Make some noise. Mamio Dende. Thank you. And then we have another mother. Your mother, my mother, our mother, the quintessential woman who has been taking care of our father, the woman who has transformed lives through her foundation. She's been First Lady, and by the grace of God, she is the incoming First Lady of Ghana, the beautiful wife of our father, Excellency Lordina Mahama is in the house. Make some noise and show her some love. Choboy. Now we've listened to our General Secretary.
Been phenomenal. And Dumso, that was effectively ended by the Mahama administration in 2016.